Hi, Pragya.
Hi, good evening, Poornima.
Good evening. Good evening. Should we, maybe we can test out what I was
Yeah,
saying.
sure.
I'll
You can just
throw
share your screen.
Post disabled participant screen sharing, it says.
1 second. If you like to share your screen and just check if you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Share screen. Yes. Now you can see my desktop. Now you can see the presentation. It says IPL Masterclass. Okay. Now, can you send me a chat? I don't see anything. Oh, okay, there you go. So the chat window. Now you can see the chat window? Yes? Yes, so I will, yes, you can. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just drag it onto my other screen. Right? And then it should be fine. Now you can't see my chat window, right? Okay, cool. And host to host and panelists to everyone, to Pragya co-host. Okay, cool. Okay, so I think we're all set then. And I'll just try advancing my slides. Yes, it all works. And you can see the screen of participants. Like you can see your own, oh, you can. So I should probably move this from this screen as well. No, because when it's a big number.
Yeah. No, right now your screen is visible completely and there is no pop-up here on the screen.
Oh, you're not seeing the
Pop-ups.
Now I moved it. If I push it back, can you see yourself and me and all the other? No, you can't.
Yeah.
Yes or no? I can't hear you.
Yeah. I'm only able to see the screen and on the top, I'm able to see myself and you.
You are. So yeah, I'll move that to the side because when it's like 50 people, it will not look good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sounds good.
So we'll be starting sharp at 7.
Okay. Sounds good. And I guess you'll start off. So I'll wait for your cue. I won't share till then, right? Yeah. You give me 1 second. Huh? How many registrations did we finally get?
We got 110. That's all.
Okay. Is that a typical number or?
Yeah, that's quite good.
Okay.
So 1 second. Hello, everyone. A very good evening to you all. This is Pragya, your host for the Masterclass. It's so great to see you all here on a Thursday evening and happy to welcome you all to today's Masterclass on why do product launches fail. Feel free to drop a hi or a hello or any comments for the speaker and me in the chat window. In the next 2 hours, we'll explore what a product launch entails, top reasons why product launches fail, and how to tackle those unpleasant situations. So grab a cup of coffee or notepad and let's begin with today's session. Before we start today's insightful session, let me give you a quick intro to the Institute. The Institute of Product Leadership is Asia's first business school providing accredited degree programs and certification courses in product management, product leadership, data science, design, strategy, and leadership. The Institute has partnered with 3 universities in India and the University of Houston in the United States. The Institute was founded in 2012 with a singular mission of creating 10,000 plus product leaders in the country. Ever since, the organization has designed and delivered programs in collaboration with various institutes, universities, and corporates to senior working professionals to help them make career transition into product leadership. The Institute has built and developed a community of over 3,300 plus successful alumni, leading the product, data, and design teams across the world. We are also knowledge partners for 250 plus organizations worldwide. You can find out more about the Institute and the programs offered on a chat window. And for those who have joined us via LinkedIn, please check the comment section for the URLs. Once our speaker presents her insights, we'll open up for questions. Please keep your questions ready. You can post your questions in the Zoom Q&A section, or you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you. And this session is being streamed live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So viewers on any of these channels, please feel free to post your questions in the comment section and we'll share it with the speaker. And also, we do have many interesting exercises and quizzes during the masterclass. So audience, please be very active and answer all those questions. So without further delay, please allow me to welcome our very distinguished and renowned speaker for today, Poornima Mohandas. Poornima is a business journalist turned a product marketer with over 16 years of experience. She has worked with technology companies like Calidus Cloud and Birdeye, and has launched and managed her multi-million-dollar B2B SaaS offerings in both San Francisco and Bangalore. She currently runs a blogging and consulting firm, Product Marketing for Tech, in Bangalore, advising startups and medium-sized companies on their positioning and go-to-market strategies. She is also an author whose articles have appeared in reputed publications such as Mind the Product, Product Marketing Alliance. Her experience in product marketing makes her a valuable resource for the company seeking to excel in product marketing. Delighted to have you today with us, Poornima. Handing over the session to you.
Thank you so much, Pragya. Excited to be here with the warm introduction. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining today. Can everybody see my slide where it says IPL Masterclass? Yes? Okay, wonderful. All right, so let's get started then. Like Pragya said, I'm a business journalist turned product marketer. My last decade has been in the B2B SaaS space. I've launched and managed multiple products upwards of 100 million in revenue, and excited to be with you here today. Before we jump into the content, first up, this is the agenda that we have lined up for you today. We'll look at what is a product launch, different types of launches, why product launches fail, and how you can tackle some of those key issues, how to create a launch plan, and we'll sum up at the end with some takeaways. And in between, like Pragya said, we'll have plenty of exercises and questions as well. So keep listening and be involved. All right, so over to you, Pragya. We want to do a quick audience poll so that we know who we're talking to, and we can make the content as relevant to you as possible. You'll see about 4 questions on your screen, so go ahead and fill in your choices.
Audience, please fill the poll. You have 20 seconds for the poll. So audience, time up for the poll. Let's see the results.
All right, wonderful. I think this is in keeping with our expectations. About a third of you are from product management and another third of you from product marketing. Both of you will be intensely involved in any product launch, right? And another third of engineers as well. Excited to have you all here. And almost 44% of you have over 15 years of experience. That's great to hear. Great to hear this. Lots of learning, lots of experiences right here in the room today. And half of you have managed a product launch. That's amazing. That is something you should be putting on your resume. And, that's absolutely amazing to hear. And I see that about 56% of you are from B2B. So that's great. All my experience has been in B2B. So you'll be able to really relate to that. For B2C, we'll just have to adapt those examples a little bit to suit the industry. Right. Shall we? Okay. So we start with our first quiz question. I hope all of you are listening. Made in 1889, this is one of the earliest products ever launched. Can you name the product or the popular Japanese company that made this product?
Audience, you can type your answers in the chat window or in the Q&A section.
I'm not able to see the chats right now. Have people started posting chats, Pragya?
I think people have started Googling it.
Okay, that's a chat. Okay.
We have answers from Suresh and Rohit. It's TV, and Suresh says it's Nintendo.
Nice. Anybody else? I can see the chat window, so that's awesome. Yeah, it just the first one just had to appear. Yeah. Anybody else? Come on, don't be shy. Nintendo TV. So TV is the first product made by Nintendo. Anybody else? But does this product look like a TV to you? I'm showing you the image of the product. I think everybody is very exhausted after a tiring day, tiring Thursday. We're not getting many responses, but go ahead and how many Japanese companies do you know? Anybody else? No? Okay, we'll give it off to Suresh Kapiti. Playing cards, that's awesome. Yes, it is a set of playing cards, Satish, and they were called Hanafuda cards, which means flower cards, as you can see from the very detailed imagery on these cards. And they used to be very popular with the Japanese criminal gangs, believe it or not. And we got to give it away to Suresh Kapiti, who is absolutely right. It is from Nintendo. Look at that. They started with playing cards, and then got on to, PS5s and what have you, right? All right, so let's jump into it. Some more interactivity, everybody. Let's, you want to spot the odd one out in each line. So you can start off with that first line. And if you want to raise your hand, and Pragya can also unmute you so that we can hear why something is odd, why you think it's odd. If you want to just go ahead and give a thumbs up, we can unmute you. Nobody wants to put their hands up? Come on, the first line is pretty easy. Which is the odd one out? Okay, Prasanna Hegde has raised his hand. Can you go ahead and unmute him, Pragya?
Yeah, so in the first line, Encarta is an enterprise product, B2B product, and remaining ones are B2C products. In second one, like I think MySpace, I know it was a social network. So, but don't know about other two companies. And Canva and Google Plus are mostly design products, and Theranos was a medical product.
Okay. Unfortunately, those are not, I mean, it's not about B2C and what product it is. In fact, Encarta actually is focused at children and young adults. So that's also a B2C product, but that's not quite what the answer is. Does anybody else want to give it a try? But thank you so much, Prasanna, for going ahead and sharing that with us. Satish. Satish, do you want to share?
Are you able to, the first one, I would go that Google Glass. It was not launched, but all other things are, it was launched. It was a failure, I would say.
Okay, now we're getting closer. So you think Google Glass is a failure, but everything else is launched?
Yes.
Okay. What about the second line? Any?
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay. And the third line, do you want to give it a go at the third line?
Canva, I know it's a design, but Thesaurus, whether this will be a product, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Even Theranos was a failed product, I guess.
Okay. Now we're getting warmer and warmer in the room. Anybody else? These are not quite the answers. Two more participants have raised their hands. Tirumala. Do you want to go?
Yeah, I answered. That's what. Theranos is a failed medical product for blood test.
Yes, absolutely. That's right. But we haven't quite spotted the odd one out in each line. So I think Rama wants to give it a go. Ram,
I think the spotted ones, the additional one-liner I want to add is they have done the marketing strategy absolutely to the best, but failed in the product launch.
Who is that you mentioned? Sorry.
The first line it is a Google Glass, and the last one is on the Theranos.
Okay. So you're saying Google Glass is the odd one out in the first line, and Theranos is the odd one out in the last line. Okay.
And the odd one, what I'm trying to say is, it is not that they don't have the marketing strategy. They do have the marketing strategy, but they were not successful in the launching of the product.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for participating. Anybody else wants to give it a go? Because we haven't quite answered we haven't gotten to the right answer just yet. Okay. I guess nobody else wants to speak up on a Thursday night, so I'm going to give it away now. So kudos to you all for identifying the failed products. Actually, the odd one out is a successful one in each of these lines. So other than Netflix, everything else in the first line is a failure. I see that Shyam Govindan wants to raise his hand. Shyam, did you want to add on to that? Hi, Shyam. Has Shyam been unmuted yet?
Yeah, correct. So yeah, my pick is also Netflix, but I was thinking from a different dimension. The way the Netflix have kind of adapted to the customers trend, right? They started more like a video cassette, delivering directly to the home to watch it on the video player and all that. Now they become completely digital, right? So that way I found them more different from other players, where others were more of digital kind of products right from the scratch.
Yeah.
The other line which I could see on my screen, Gong, Bob, and MySpace. I see Gong. The other thing, or the other Gong is more like a collaboration monitoring tracking platform. More used traditionally used by more used by B2B sales team, or even probably B2C as well, where it monitor like how the interactions are happening with the customers, how well the each salesperson are performing compared to the top performers. So it's more like a engagement monitoring tracking platform,
Mhm.
where there are more like real collaboration platforms where they give space for the audience, for the users to directly collaborate with each other. That's my take on those.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So absolutely right on Netflix. And yeah, I love your angle about pivots, right? I mean, Netflix has done so many successful pivots and just kept ahead of the times, which makes it the odd one out in that first line. Google Glass, like you, of course, somebody else pointed out earlier, it was launched, but it never quite succeeded. And we will deep dive into that story a little later on tonight. Encarta, we'll look at another failed product, and that's, of course, the BlackBerry Storm, which was swiftly replaced once the iPhone was launched, right? In the second line, Gong is what you know about, because Gong is the only successful player out there in that line, right? Bob used to be Microsoft's user interface tool, which kind of helps people figure out what to do next. You want to do some number crunching, it'll open up Excel for you, that kind of thing. MySpace was the leading social media platform before Facebook killed it. In the third line, the odd one out is Canva, because again, Canva is a successful product, whereas Theranos, like somebody pointed out earlier, is a big failure, where even the CEO is arrested right now for fudge numbers, fudge product capabilities, what have you. That's absolutely right, Davis. The last line, Canva is the odd one out because that's a successful one. Google Plus, if anybody is dated enough, they will know it was, again, one of Google's many attempts to get into the social media space. Again, a failed product. So let's deep dive. So thank you so much for that participation. I can see that got us thinking, but let's deep dive into some of these examples, right? Can anybody tell me if they've heard of Encarta? Like, have they used Encarta? This would be awesome if we, do we want to try and unmute everyone? I love to see more participation. Can anybody?
Yeah, I think you guys should raise your hands and unmute your, so that we can unmute you and you can speak. So the session will be an interactive one.
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to speak up, then you can just post it, your answers on the chat window or the Q&A section as well.
Yeah, that's great. We can do that, Pragya. So Encarta, anybody familiar? I only know Kanta. I only know Kantara, says Shyam. But yeah, so Encarta, anybody familiar with the product or why it became, why it had to be sunset? No, not really. Okay, so Encarta was once the best-selling CD-based encyclopedia, right? So you got it as a set of CDs. It was from Microsoft, right? It was like a set of 5 CDs, then it became like 7 CDs, and they launched it at like $99, and they bundled it along with the price of the personal computer. So once you bought your PC, you got it bundled, and which is really neat because, it was best-selling. Year after it was launched, it sold about 350,000 copies, right? And what happened, what made it irrelevant is that the internet got faster. right? It was pretty cool when it existed, actually. We used to have, when I was a child growing up, we had copies of Encarta at home, and you could do like virtual tours of the Colosseum, the Acropolis, all these amazing, wonders of the world you've never been to. You can do like a nice virtual tour of the thing, and plenty of information to read on and on. But what happened is people, started going to the internet to ask questions, right? When they wanted to find out something, they started going to the internet, and Wikipedia, like I think somebody mentioned, Janani mentioned in the chat, Wikipedia came about, and Encarta just couldn't keep up. Encarta had about 62,000 articles behind a paywall, and within a few years of Wikipedia's existence, they had like 2.8 million articles out there, and all available for free, right? So in about 2009, Microsoft decided to do away with Encarta because they realized it was pointless carrying on with the product and its development. That's right. Yeah. Arya says you could do virtual tours, go inside architectural structures. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Places that you've never been to, you could see it on your computer screen. Okay, now let's look at an example of a product that succeeded, right? I think it was Tirumala who said he was familiar with Gong. So Gong is a sales optimization, sales performance software, if you will. It really monitors salespeople's calls and emails and interactions with their customers, and analyzes all that data with AI and gives recommendations, right? So it will tell you, like, your salesperson had a monologue, 57% of the time they were talking, only, remaining 43% was the customer talking. These were some of the opening sentences that really got the customer to talk and open up. These were, so it really helps you identify those sales behaviors that are winning, right? So that you can duplicate it across your sales reps for your B players and your C players in your sales team. And Gong is a B2B software. They have, customers like NASDAQ and Facebook and GE, what have you. And what they had going for them is their CEO actually experienced this problem himself. It's an Israeli chap called Amit Ben-Dov, and he was earlier the CEO of another company called C-Sense. At the time, the sales of C-Sense was really going down, right? And he wanted to kind of investigate as to what was happening. So he started listening to a lot of call recordings, and this is before Gong came along, right? He started listening to hundreds of call recordings on all his flights, and then he would start looking at all the pipeline data and the CRM, kind of figure out why certain deals are stuck. Then he would talk to sales leaders, and then he would hear a completely different story. So he realized that a lot of the reasons why deals were not going through was colored by opinion. There wasn't really a qualitative and a good quantitative way of analyzing sales behaviors and sales conversations to figure out why deals were not working out. And he came up with the idea of Gong based on his own business problem, right? So the problem itself had to be solved. And what he did was he interviewed like 50 odd customers to see whether this problem was actually prevalent across the industry. And go to see the problem did matter, and they ran a beta with about 12 customers. And one of the customers at the end of the beta was actually ready to pay a substantial amount for Gong. So Gong really resonated, right? And Gong also has something else in its favor. That is, a CEO comes from a marketing background. So they really understand marketing, right? Which is why it stands out. If you look at the sales and marketing software landscape, there are about 8,000 vendors out there, and Gong is one of those names that sticks out. It stands out because they know how to do marketing, right? It's one of the few B2B SaaS software that has ever run a Super Bowl ad. And this little image that you're seeing on the left is from their Super Bowl ad. They, and they're very focused, right? They only focus on tech companies with over 10 salespeople. Why? Because tech companies are typically quicker to adopt new technologies, right? They're over 170 million in revenue, over 3,000 customers, great valuation. So great success story in the B2B space. All right, so let's look at the larger market itself out there, right? I mean, can you believe that about 30,000 new products are launched every year? Okay, 30,000. Just imagine that number in your head. And now tell me, out of that, what percentage of products fail? And you can type your answers in the chat. 99%. Very optimistic, Shyam. Anybody else wants to give it a go? Satish says 90, Janani says 98, Prasanna 95, 96, Sham Kumar 90 to 95, Veda 85, 97, 99. Wow, you all are really pessimistic, I say. You're a very pessimistic crowd on Thursday night. 76, yeah. Yeah, it is globally. Yeah, it is globally. And this is a stat from the Harvard Business School. So yeah, I mean, you're in the ballpark. 95% of products fail, right? Like such an overwhelming majority. It's like, what are we doing wrong? Right? And what do you think is the biggest reason such an alarming percentage fail? You want to type that in your chat or you want to raise your hand? Lack of marketing strategy, Devesh says, okay. PMF not there. I love that, Sham. Kudos to you. Product market fit. Very nice. Rohit Kumar. Very cool. Very cool. Anybody else? Lack of PMF. Very good. Ahead of times. Yeah, that can happen. That's very true. That's very true. I remember in the early 2000s, there were a host of mobile payment companies, right? And the payments industry just hadn't taken off. Why? Because smartphones weren't that prevalent, right? And we didn't have UPI at the time. So that was really a story of product innovation that had happened ahead of its time. Lack of planning and flexibility. Sham says Tanvishta says not identifying the time and the right persona. Okay, very nice, very nice. I like that. So let's look at what MIT says about why innovations fail, because companies, like many of you said, right, they introduce products without a real need. And rightly so, like you said, PMF, right? Lack of product market fit. You introduce, why do companies release products today? Because their competitor did it already, or because they can, because they want to get something out of the door and show revenue, right? No, absolutely. So you're not really listening to the market and figuring out what is the real need out there that you need to solve for, right? Wonderful. Moving forward. So what is a product launch, right? Like my GIF there, that's supposed to imply what is a product launch there. Why? Lemon in slide. Lemon is one of those things that you associate with a failed product, right? That's why, Satish. Like a car is a lemon, that means it doesn't even work, right? So moving on, what is a product launch? I do get distracted by the chat because you all have really interesting, nice things to say. So what is a product launch? Anybody wants to hazard a guess on this one? And 50% of you have already worked on product launches, which is amazing. So out with it. Give me your definitions of what is a product launch. Either you want to type it out on chat or you want to raise your hand, either one works. Sham says, make the world know about your product. Nice. Attract attention from users. Very nice, Veda. Very nice. I like that.
Bring the product to from the table to the customer.
From the table to the customer. Very nice. Very nice.
Or from the laboratory.
Yes, yes. I like that. Yeah. Introducing the product in market, make product available for end users, inform and educate them about product. Yeah. Product MVP is in live environment and users can come in and access its features. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. That's a lot of great answers. I would say this is definition from the pragmatic group that I've attended training from, and they talk about it as, and I completely in alignment with them. It's about creating momentum in the market, right? Your product is ready. It's not just about technical readiness, but product is available. And the GTM teams are ready, or the entire company is ready to help create momentum in the marketplace so that this product succeeds. So that's essentially the goal of a product launch, right? Okay. So let's look at different types of launches, right? In more mature companies, you'll have tiered launches. So you have your tier 1 up to 4. Tier 1 is your big bang launch. You go all out, all guns blazing, shouting from the rooftops, hey, we have this shiny new product. You got to check it out. You're doing PR, you're doing ads, you're doing social, doing all the promotions that that money can buy, Tier 2 is more of a limited launch. Maybe you're testing it out, right? Not so sure about the market. You want to launch with just this maybe buy invite only audience and just see how it resonates. A tier 3 launch is like a major release, right? That is an existing product. You found some gaps, you probably listened to your customers and you built out certain capabilities. Now you want to educate your audiences, right? So whether it's customers, analysts, prospects, salespeople, partners, you want to educate all of them on your latest and greatest innovation. And tier 4 launch is like, minor release. You can keep it completely internal, maybe train some support people so they can manage the support tickets, what have you. Inform sales if required, that kind of thing. And it's a good practice to tier your launches so that everybody, all the constituents really understand what to expect, right? They understand the terminology. So sales, support, leadership, everybody knows what to expect depending on whether it's a tier 1 launch or a tier 4 launch. Now, time for another quiz. So in 1938, this Asian electronics maker started its business in the most unlikely space of grocery trading. Guess what? It was dealing in dried fish and noodles. Which is this famous company? Prasanna says Samsung. Anybody else? Rohit Naidu says Samsung. Okay. Vinod said I would imagine that's Nissan, right? Okay. Anybody else want to give it a go? Samsung. Rohit Kumar says Samsung. Nice. I love how all of you are so read up on your product, business history, if you will. Did you take a class on that before attending this? So it is absolutely Samsung. It is absolutely Samsung. And just imagine that the largest smartphone player in the world started with dealing with dried fish. Like, look at the amount of pivots they would have done to just stay ahead of the times, right? Rohit revealed why the secret behind it. He had done an internship at Samsung where he probably read the corporate history. Wonderful. That's awesome. So now we're going to look at some of the reasons why products fail, right? And this is not a super set of reasons. There could be more reasons and you can add to that, but these are some of the common reasons that I've seen in the half a dozen times that I've launched products. So we'll just run through those and kind of talk through what happens and then how do you tackle them. So let's start with number 1. And I love that many of you talked about this already, a lack of product market fit, right? Either your customers are not ready to pay, the customers don't find your product that attractive, not that easy to use, and they probably already solved that problem, right? You have a late mover disadvantage, if you will, and you end up, and which is so often the case, right? Like you build a Me Too product in a cluttered space with no differentiation. So if you can't even see the differentiation, how's the customer supposed to see it, right? So let's talk a little bit about what is product market fit. Product market fit is a concept most of you are familiar with, coined by Mark Andreessen, the legendary investor and entrepreneur. And very simplistic terms, this is all it is. Product market fit means being in a good market with a product that can satisfy that market, right? And so what does good market mean? Good market means the market is big enough for multiple players to exist and still make money, right? And then you can satisfy that market means, you can keep them happy and they're going to stay with you, right? So let's go a little bit into, we talked about Google Glass earlier, right? And why did Google Glass fail? Can anybody want to come off mute or write in the chat? Can anybody tell me why Google Glass failed?
When they introduced, market was not ready, in my opinion.
Okay, very interesting. Market was early mover disadvantage. Okay.
Early mover disadvantage.
Nice, I like that. The user research was not done properly. Okay. No product fit, high price. Yes, absolutely. All of these are absolutely right. Unawareness. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when Google Glass was introduced, what they did for the launch was also really kind of, half-assed, I would say. They gave the product as free samples to a bunch of celebrities and influencers, and they let PR do the talking, right? So they got a lot of press coverage. Everybody from WSJ to New York Times covered them, but Google lost control of the narrative, right? Because in PR, there's only so much you can control. Finally, the journalist is going to write the story. And I know because I used to be a journalist, right? So you can color the impressions of the journalist so much, but finally the narrative is going to be controlled by the media. And so like somebody said, like Nikit said, customers didn't know what was the purpose of this device, right? It was almost double the cost of an iPhone at $1,500. And couldn't do much more, right? Other than no hands, right? Wear it on your face and you can go about doing all the stuff you do on your phone. It also got the ignominy of glass holes, right? So if you walk into a pub wearing a Google Glass on your face, people didn't know whether you were taking videos of them, taking photos of them, right? People felt like agitated. There were even fist fights in some bars, I believe, because of Google Glass, right? So Google lost control of the narrative. Customers didn't know why they should buy this very expensive, overpriced product. And, what was the purpose of its existence? Nobody knew, right? You really got to think, does your product, other than to make revenue, what is its purpose, right? If it doesn't have a purpose, probably doesn't need to exist. Now let's look at another story of Canva. So that's Google Glass, a great example of lack of product market fit, right? There was no real problem to solve. And Canva went after a real problem. How many of you here use Canva? Just give me a thumbs up. Ishan raised his hand. If I'm just asking the question, like Canva, anybody uses Canva? So I see 2 participants raise their hand. That means 2 of you, 3 of you use the product, right? Yes. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I can see plenty of you. So anybody who is, even in middle school, my middle school daughter uses it for doing her project work. And if you're a restaurant owner, you probably use it to design your menu. That's how comprehensive Canva's capabilities are when solving the design problem. And what is the design problem? So it's really interesting how Melanie Perkins, the co-founder of this product, stumbled upon, if you will. She was teaching a computer class in University of Western Australia, and she realized that just to design a poster, you had to jump through so many hoops, right? You had to get your images, you had to design it in Word or some other tool. Then you had to right size it, you get your icons, then you got to make sure that the resolution is intact. Then you want to PDF it so that nobody else can edit it, put it onto a stick, and then take it to like a printer for printing. Too many steps in the world of the internet. She thought this is a problem waiting to be solved. And she wanted to democratize design. That is the purpose of the company, right? Enable everyone in the world to design. And, goes to show 75 million users, $26 billion valuation, amazing, over $1 billion in revenue. And what do they do for marketing? They do a lot of ads. Their content marketing engine is really strong. You search anything related to marketing, you will find a Canva content piece around it. They're pretty strong in social, and they're building a community, right? So you do like 200 designs on Canva and they'll send you a certificate. And a lot of people will, flaunt that certificate online and build that, word of mouth and free publicity for the brand. So that's a case of really finding a problem, going after it, and building a sustainable business around it. Not that it was just a smooth ride. Melanie Perkins pitched to like hundreds of VCs before she actually got funding and what have you. But, just the fact that there was a real problem, she went ahead and designed a product that actually fixed it and made it so easy to use that people just took to it, right? And when you love a product that much, you're bound to tell a friend. If you tell one friend, that creates like this viral marketing effect, right? And I think I've told more than one friend. So yeah. So Canva is a great example of a product market fit. Any questions before we get into a little exercise? No questions, I guess. Okay. All right, so this is our first exercise for the evening. I'll give you a little scenario. After a 3-month beta program, your company X has launched a new software prototyping product in the US market. Okay, how will you assess product market fit for the new product? I want you to think about it for a minute. And when you're ready, just go ahead and raise your hand, and Pragya will take you off mute so that we can hear from you. Yeah. Number of Shyam Govindan says number of inquiries from targeted audience. Okay. Okay. Satish. Satish seems to know all the answers. Market survey. Bingo. Niket says, what is beta program? So beta program is typically like a closed group, by invite only program, which you probably only do with your existing customers, and you give them a limited version of your product to play with. And what do? They, play around with the product and give you feedback, right? Tell you if they like it, they hate it, whatever it is. So that's the intent of a beta program, kind of. It's like a test drive, if you will, before you take the product out on the big stage to announce it to the world. Beta user feedback. I love that. Frequency of their usage plus time plus lots of feedback. This is awesome. Yeah, between all of you, you have all the answers. I will take suggestions from target customers. Customers through running a marketing campaign and try to find the problems my product lacks in. Get feedback from We'll take suggestions from target customers through running a marketing campaign. Okay, nice, very good. Focus group, feedback, NPS, very nice, very nice. Yeah, you got it. Like, you have all the answers. I don't need to be here, actually. Number of new users referred, nice. Market, competitor analysis, understanding user in their context, Veda says. I'm not quite sure how that would help you kind of figure out product market fit. But yeah, I think all the other answers, that's absolutely it. You do all of that together and you will have a good sense of product market fit. Couple of things I would add to that is you can see after your beta program, how many people are ready to give you a case study, right? If nobody is willing to give you a case study, to me, that's a red flag, right? Because they're not happy enough to put their name along with yours out there in the world. Another thing you want to look for is how many of your beta customers are willing to switch from their existing solution, whatever it might be, maybe it's a Figma, maybe it's an Envision, how many of them are ready to switch from that to yours, right? Because if they are willing to switch, that means they can clearly see the differentiation that you bring, the value that you bring to the market, right? And so let's dive into that a little bit more. So I love the participation. Let's keep it going. Isn't beta success showcase of product market fit? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It is. So let's look at, there are different tests available in the market, right? There's the David Skog test, but my favorite is the Sean Ellis test. And Sean Ellis is like the first marketer at Dropbox, and he's the, author of the book Hacking Growth. He says it's a really simple way, right? In your survey to customers, just ask your customers, how would you feel if you could no longer use the product? Starting tomorrow, you don't get the product anymore. Are people going to care? Right? Very disappointed, somewhat disappointed, not disappointed. If 40% or more are very disappointed, you are close to product market fit, right? Because 40% is derived from like hundreds of startups that Sean Ellis polled and arrived at that metric. I think this is simple, super simple way to do it. There are other methods as well, but I really like this one. Now let's look at, some people talk about product market fit as a feeling. Okay, let's see how that feels. Look at that. You see that man? He is selling ice cream on a nice crowded beach. That's how product market fit feels, right? Look at him, like he's so chill, right? He's just standing there. He's not hollering, he's not calling anybody. People are going to him because you know what? People want ice cream. They're craving ice cream on a hot day at the beach. That's how product market fit feels, right? Now, Amar ice cream is going to do just fine. Even if there's, Vinod ice cream and Prakash ice cream on the other sides of the beach, it's just fine because, there's enough for the market for everyone, right? So it's going to feel like it's that easy. And this analogy is from a really nice blog post I read recently by Jason Hinman. A very nice analogy. And you can adapt that to the B2B world, right? Since over 50% of you are in the B2B world, let's look at how do you adapt that, right? I think somebody said this earlier, prospects see a demo and they want to buy. You know why? Because they can immediately see the value in your solution, right? They see the demo and they can see, hey, this is way better than what I'm doing today, right? Maybe I'm using Excel for sales forecasting. This is way better. I'll buy your product. Fast growing customer base, you're thinking double-digit growth, another good sign. Low customer churn, customers are engaged. Like somebody was saying in chat earlier, customers are engaged with your product. They're logging in, they're finding value. So they're not leaving you, they're renewing, right? Low churn. Plenty of case studies. NPS score, right? Anything over 50 is awesome. Now tell me, if you are outside of a Can't hear you. Shyam says can't hear you. Can anybody, can everybody else hear me? Pragya, can you still hear me?
Yes,
Very-
Poornima.
Okay, good. Okay, Vinod says very clear, so I'll keep going. Shyam, I hope you can log back in and fix the audio issue. So I was saying, so suppose you are external to a company, right? Maybe you're talking to a company, maybe you're going to consult with them, you're external to the company. How do you figure out if that product has product market fit? Can anybody? You want to type your answer in the chat? That'd be awesome. Or you want to unmute, that's also, you want to raise your hand, that's also good. Just use it, okay. But that's still one data point, right? You may not be their target user. Like if it's a sales forecasting tool, it's probably meant for like head of sales, not necessarily a PM or a PMM or an engineer, right? Based on the users onboarded, okay. Website has reviews and testimonials. Yeah, absolutely right. So I was asking if, what's the best way to tell if a company has product market fit, if you're not inside the company, right? Even user numbers, you never know when your user numbers is good, but you never know what percentage of them are active, right? Like, so it could be monthly usage, daily usage, that kind of thing. But yeah, I love what Tanvishta said about reviews and testimonials, and I'm with you on that. So, the way I like to do it is I go onto their website and just look at, okay, case studies. And I was talking to a company recently where they had hundreds, literally hundreds of named case studies. I'm not saying anonymous case studies, but named case studies, right? Of brands and companies who want to say to the world that, hey, I use this product and it works, right? And it's giving me value. It's got me 10x faster revenue and blah, 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 right? So if there are hundreds of case studies out there, thousands of positive reviews out there, you can pretty much be sure it's got product market fit. All right, so moving on to our second reason for, what are we talking about again? Reasons product launches fail, right? This is the second reason. We talked about the first reason, that was PM, product market fit. Reason 2, your target audience is everyone. Now, tell me, what is wrong with that approach? Is there anything wrong with that approach in the first place? If your target audience is everyone, yes, Anvishta, why do you say that's wrong? What is the reason that it's not, working for you? Personas vary, depends on which sector you're in. Yeah, absolutely. Persona is varied, which means it's practically not possible to fit for all segments, needs. Yes, absolutely, right? Bisleri is doing it. Yeah, that's a B2C angle. Absolutely. In B2C, you could very well go ahead and target everyone if you're a large CPG company and you have endless budget. The other reason, B2C, yes, absolutely. There are a lot of companies that would be, FMCG companies, right? Basically for everyone. But even there, they segment the audience, right? Like, why did HLL come up with shampoo sachets? That is product customer segmentation for you, right? Because they realized that, the lower income classes only had 1 rupee to spare, but they still wanted them to buy shampoo, right? And the only way they could make them buy shampoo was if they had that 1 rupee sachet. So even there is segmentation, right? Appealing to different audiences within. Yeah, but in B2B, I would say you're absolutely right about, personas vary. Your message is not going to resonate. A product that you build for small business is likely not going to work for enterprise, right? Because their requirements are so much more complex. The number of integrations they require are so much more complex. So your target audience should ideally never be everyone, especially in B2B. B2C, different story, right? The other reason is your marketing budget is only going to be so much, right? So if you're running ads, you're doing social promotions, you're running an event maybe for a particular product, you can't invite everyone, right? You have to focus in on the people that matter the most, right? So let's do a little exercise. Yes, absolutely. Shams Kumar said it right when he says, and not every business has large sums of money to market to everyone. Absolutely right. Yeah. So let's do a little exercise where we look at identify your ideal target audience, right? So company X, this is the scenario. Company X has launched a new software prototyping product in the US market. Who will you target? Right? I want you to take a minute, think about it, and go ahead and type your answers in chat, or if you want to raise your hand, we'd love to hear you speak. The more we speak, I think the more we learn and observe or absorb from each other, right? So I totally encourage you to speak. Interesting. Devesh says IT consultancies. Prasanna says computer science students. Rohit Naidu says development or engineering teams in IT companies, freelancers, Geo, US, IT products, users, product managers. Shyam Govindan, I like your thinking. Very cool. Cynthia says tech companies, Ishan, service-based companies, developers. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Two people have raised their hand. Pragya, can you unmute the two folks so we can hear them speak?
Yes. Yes, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, hi, Rohit here. Am I audible?
Go ahead, Rohit. We can hear you.
Yeah, so I think the target audience will be the startup founders and the startup companies. And the reason may be like the big companies might be already having some processes in place for prototyping. So we can target these startups more.
Wonderful, wonderful. And within the startups, who would you target? Like what persona would you go after?
The CTOs, I think.
Yes. Okay. Are CTOs the people who are usually prototyping a product?
It may start with that. I mean, there's maybe the C-level folks only, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably true, depending on the size of the company. The budget might be from the CTO's budget, right? I would think typically you target product managers or even UX designers, but the budget might be under the CTO. So depending on the size of the company, of course. If it's a mid-sized company, it could be like a VP of product who has the budget to buy. But yes.
Yeah, maybe at the beginning, maybe some company may not even have that role. So
yes. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. I love how you're thinking about it. So you thinking of the size of the company, you're thinking of the persona. Would you want to go by geo, like which geo would you want to go after? Any reason for that?
it is US market only, so maybe the Bay Area of the US only.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense because most of the product managers, if you look at the US, I think there are about 300 I think it's about 7 lakh product managers in the US, right? And most of them are concentrated in the West Coast, overwhelming majority on the West Coast, Bay Area, and the East Coast as well to some extent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Was there one more person who wanted to speak up? Is it Devesh? Pragya, do you want to unmute Devesh? Can see he raised his hand.
Devesh, you can, if you want to speak, you can go ahead and ask your question or you can put your answer.
Go ahead, Devesh. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, in that case, Poornima, we can go ahead with our session.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so I think, I think it was Rohit who just spoke. So absolutely agree with you. You want to go after product companies who are prototyping products, right? So you're looking at product companies. Typically, you want to go after tech companies because they're the ones who are, prototyping different products. And you want to go after the product managers / UX designers. The economic buyer might be the CTO, depending on the size of the company. And, starting with a smaller company definitely makes sense because then it might actually be a greenfield opportunity where they're not using a competing solution. But if your product is really top class and can beat the pans of Figma and InVision, why not, right? You could go into mid-sized companies as well. All right, so let's look at the science of segmenting your audience, right? So you can segment your audience by demographics, and we do a lot of that in B2B, right? Age, gender, title, what kind of companies are they working for, size of the company, what kind of industries are they in, all want to focus on geographic as well, because then you can do, certain events in certain areas of the country, what have you, technographic. This is important, especially in B2B, because you want to know which systems you want to integrate with, as well as, message in your messaging. Like, hey, if CRM integration is the deal breaker, then obviously you want to talk about integrations on your website and wherever else relevant. Behavioral, how do they read? Right? What do they read? How do they buy? Right? Who are their influencers? What kind of events do they go to, if at all? Where do they network? Where do they meet people? Who do they trust? All those kind of aspects that you want to figure out. And psychographics. This is more important for B2C, but makes sense to know, what kind of personality that person has, your typical target buyer. Different, messages. I think somebody spoke about this earlier, like you can't make for everyone, right? Similarly, you want to message differently depending on who you're selling to, right? Suppose you have a sales performance product, right? And you have different buyers. The CFO has a say in the decision. In large enterprise deals, you'll see these multiple buyers involved. It's almost like a committee buying, right? So you got a message to the CFO. And what are you going to say? You're going to talk about reducing costs because that's all he or she cares about, right? You're going to say this product, Mr. CFO, is going to help you reduce cost and make your sales teams more productive. But the same product, if you're, messaging to the head of sales, right, who is also a key buyer for you, you're going to say, hey, this is going to drive sales performance and help you improve quota attainment, because that's what the head of sales cares about. Because if he's not making quota and his team is not making quota, he's not going to be in that job next year, right? So really, depending on who you're messaging to, your message changes, right? Whether it's on your website, whether it's in your pitch decks, what have you. Now, talking about launches, right? So there are different kinds of launches based on who you're going after, right? We didn't talk about this earlier, but really breaking up your audiences into prospects, your existing customers, and your competitors' customers, right? And the prospects piece is typically the biggest chunk, right? Especially in B2B. B2C, like FMCG is going to be wildly different, but, prospects is the biggest chunk. Then comes, probably your existing customers and competitors' customers, depending on how much market share you have. Now, let's talk about different types of launches, right? This is how pragmatic marketing likes to think about it. And the terminology might differ, depending on which consultancy or which school you go, which you're following, but, more or less the same thing. So prospects, it's a breakthrough launch, right? A breakthrough launch is when you've got like huge innovation made of amazing new product. You want to take it out to the world. You want to educate the audience and really break through into the market, right? This is, pretty hard to predict the demand in the market, but it's a big launch, right? A mind share launch doesn't even have to be a real launch. It can be a busy shopping season, right? Wherein you're trying to capture mind share, right? Like the Gong ad, right? Because heads of sales, who are their buyers? Heads of sales. Heads of sales love competitive sports, right? So they're watching Super Bowl and they see the ad and they're like, wow, Gong. The other day, my peer in another company mentioned it to me, and maybe I should check it out, right? Next time the sales rep from Gong calls, you know what? He's actually taking the call, or he's responding to that cold email. It's really a mind share game, right? Could it just be a ads bliss or big ad campaign, marketing campaign? If you're going after your existing customers, could be a retention launch where maybe you've had a bit of churn, your customers a bit unhappy with you, they found some deficiencies, and you've decided to act on it. You built the product capabilities. Now you want to educate them. Hey, Mr. Customer, we've been listening to you, and we built what you recommended. So you want to make that launch really successful by making sure that they stick with you, right? A share of wallet launch would be, hey, you've already got product A, B, and C. Now I'm going to launch product D and sell to my existing customer base because, hey, you know what? They already know me, right? They already know the sales rep. There's already an existing relationship there. It's like the it's you're already selling to somebody who knows you, and so you're trying to get a bigger part of their tech spend. Migration launch is when your product has it just kind of stagnated, and you want to the market kind of demands more out of you. You want some advanced features, you've built it, and now you want them to upgrade, right? You want to make that migration path really easy, smooth and easy, minimum resources, minimum time, that kind of thing, so that you can migrate all those customers smoothly. Another way to look at it, the third piece is really going after your competitors' customers. Say they have a really nice, juicy set of customers that are dissatisfied, and you launch something that is like going to kill their product, right? So you can go ahead and target those customers and have them, replace your competitor, because guess what? You've got the better product. And make sure your sales playbook is also better, right? Really highlight the differentiation that you bring to the market. Final launch we're going to talk about is like a wedge launch, which is, hey, you got a complementary solution to your customer's product. Maybe you're in the sales coaching space and you've also developed this sales forecasting tool. You want to go ahead and get a foot in the door. It's a nice way to get access to your competitors' customers. There might be more terminologies out there, depending on who's writing the content or who's, teaching the game. But really, these are some of the main launches. And this is kind of just giving you a sense of how to think about it, right? Like segmenting your entire audience by prospects, existing customers, competitors' customers. And let's go into, now that we've got a bit of theory in, right? So let's do another exercise, right? So the scenario is Service Inc. is a customer support platform, $100 million of business, 6,000 customers. Now it is planning to launch a new payments gateway product next quarter. Who should it target? So I want you to think about that for a minute, and whenever you're ready, go ahead and type out your answers in the chat, or just raise your hand and we'll go ahead and unmute you. Yeah. Prasanna, lovely. Can you elaborate a little bit on why you think it should be your existing customers?
Because the relationship is already there, so it's easy to the pilot launch with them, you get the feedback.
Yes, yes. Is there any particular reason why you said existing customers.
Because
Yeah.
already using your existing products, right? So whenever you are launching a new product, so it would be like work very well with assumption is like it will work well with your existing, stack or
Yeah.
the stack. So
Absolutely.
easy for them to adopt and use it.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful. Anything else anybody would like to add? Jyoti says same 6,000 customers. Any other rationale you have for targeting your existing customers specific to this scenario? Okay, Shyam has raised his hand. Pragya, can you take him off mute? So Tanmay says trust has been built. I love that. Why is trust so important here?
Hi, Dasham. Can I answer?
Yes, please go ahead, Shyam.
Yeah, so you can definitely target the existing customer. At the same time, it could be for retention as well. I mean, probably if you see your existing customers, in your existing customer, you see another competitor also introduces payment gateways, and you see that as a risk. You want to protect your boundary, right? So you want to provide these additional features more from a competition perspective as well, right? So it might fall under more than one bucket actually.
Yes, absolutely. And that's totally fine. You can, in fact, ideally, you can go after 2 or 3 different audiences as well, 2 or 3 different strategies of achieving your goal. So that's absolutely fine. Yeah. So I like that what you're saying, competitors come in, you see it as a threat. So, you're providing a like for to stay in the market. Yeah. Anybody else who wants to add to that? Jyoti says if they're already using another payment gateway, then make sure our product should give more features and cost, etc. Rohit says to avoid bad press and confidential info leak, new customers for a product beta can risk information leaks, and those new customers might be existing customers of your competitors. I'm not too sure of what you're saying. So you're saying you should target new customers for the product beta. Target the COD customer segments, cash on deliveries, customer segments, or customers who have faced issues of carrying cash and change. Okay, yeah, nice. Okay, so I love that many of you have talked about selling to the existing customers. And I think it was Devesh who said, they mentioned the word Tanmay. Tanmay said the word trust, which I think is highly important because here it's a payments gateway product, right? Mission critical, cannot go down even for a minute, right? You're not going to go and change your payments vendor with somebody who's not established and not known to you, right? Because it is absolutely mission critical. You cannot survive a day in your business without a payments gateway solution if that's part of your business model, right? Whether whether you're a store or whether you're any kind of service offering business, you cannot, if you have a payments gateway, it has to work all the time, every time. So therefore, the only people who are likely to buy from you are your existing customers because they know and trust you already, right? So you always want to target the people who are most likely to buy and the people who need you the most. So yeah, wonderful. I love the participation. So good stuff. So let's keep going. Reason number 3 for product not taking off, no launch budget, right? And I love this GIF, right? There's no launch budget. What does that mean, right? You're thinking, hey, marketing has all that budget, right? Yes, marketing has all that budget, but they've also got their existing goals, right? And they're going to just operate off of that. So whatever new launch is happening needs to have a dedicated budget, because guess what? If you don't have a dedicated budget, you're not going to see any ads for it. You're not going to see any events for it. No videos of, of your great product and your great customers, no sales swag for salespeople to flaunt on airlines and get some excitement going, right? None of that. And that does not bode well for a good product launch, right? Reason number 4, marketing is not aligned, right? And what do we mean by marketing is not aligned, right? Very often, I worked in companies like this, right? The marketing itself is siloed, right? There's product that's launching the product, but marketing is continuing. They have, they have content, social posts, emails, webinars, all planned out for the next quarter, right? And they're just going on autopilot by that. Product is launching a product on the side, but marketing is just not kind of integrating all of that into their go-to-market messaging. So what do you do about that, right? You've got to break those silos, and those targets and goals need to be common and set across teams, right? So the leadership team has to set team-based goals, right? Team-based goals for entire marketing, for demand gen, for customer marketing, right? It's not just the product marketing teams or the product management teams goals, but across the board, sales teams, support, everybody, customer success, everybody has to have goals in order to make them feel involved and like they've got, they've got skin in the game to make this new product launch successful, right? Budget, I would absolutely recommend for a PMM dedicated budget so that every launch gets its, day in the sunlight. And cross-functional meetings, right? Break those silos, get talking, collaborate, all that good stuff. Reason number 5, no push from the top, which means that, your company leaders themselves are not talking about the product launch enough. And what happens if the company leader is not talking about it in their all hands? That means he or she doesn't really care about it, right? And if he or she doesn't really care about it, why should salespeople care about it, right? Why should customer success care about it? Why should demand gen care about it? They don't need to care about it. So it really has to come from the top to get everyone excited, right? And I've worked with companies where they do this really well, right? They'll do a whole skit and a whole like song and dance showcasing the new product, right? And how it actually solves the buyer's problems. No better way to get your field excited, right? Announce it on a big stage, make a big show, song and dance about it, right? Ask sales and support and customer success to bring up the new product in every customer conversation you're having, right? There are so many customer conversations happening every day within your company. Just give your product launch a chance, right? Showcase that product and create some excitement around it. Reason number 6 for products not to launch or not to take off, the sales team isn't excited. And why isn't the sales team excited? You really got to dig into that. You want to meet up with your sales leaders, your sales reps, and figure out what's going on. Maybe they don't understand how the new incentive structure works, right? They're not quite sure how to make money off of selling this product because the larger part of their pay actually comes from commissions, right? You must be familiar with that. Like typically 40% is base and like 60% is variable. And so, unless the salesperson really understands how this new product launch and how they're going to get paid on the new product launch, they may not, bother selling it. First of all, they have to learn it. So imagine for a salesperson, they have to learn this new product and then they have to be comfortable presenting it to a customer, right? So you want to make your incentives really clear, conduct training. Maybe they're unfamiliar with the product itself. They need more training. Analyze some stuck deals to figure out, hey, what's going on? Is it that the messaging is off or is there a product issue? And really build confidence within the sales team. How do you do that? Showcase customer stories, right? We used to do this, like, take little clips from chorus of customers and how they find value in your product and play it on a sales on all hands to kind of make sure that everybody's on board, everybody's excited. And there's nothing better than a customer singing praises of your product, right? So go ahead and use their voice to tell your story. Quick break from our reasons to have a quiz. When IKEA started its business way back in 1953, what did it start with? Now tell me, somebody's here from IKEA who's going to answer this. Clue, it wasn't furniture. Anybody? Has everybody gone off to sleep? Oh my God, what happened? Come on, type your answers in the chat. Stationery, Vijay Lakshmi. Awesome. Anybody else? That's absolutely right. And it's, can call it stationery. It started with pens and wallets. And it was not a physical store. It was a mail order business, right? So you see a catalog, you like a product that you like, find a product that you like, go ahead and order it and they'll send it to you, right? So that's how it was. Okay, coming back to our reasons for launch failure. Reason number 7, and I've seen this so many times, too many distractions, right? Engineering team is plodding away. Every month there's a release. Every quarter there's a new product launch. Guess what? The GTM teams can't keep up, right? The sales and marketing teams don't understand product A that you just launched a quarter back because they're struggling to keep up with the latest launch that you just did like last week. Right? They've already forgotten what happened a quarter back. So you really got to slow that release train, right? I've also seen where product marketing managers, they'll release a product and next quarter they're working on yet another product launch. So where is the time for the PMM to go back and kind of check how that previous quarter's launch is going, how the metrics looking, does something need to be optimized? How do we diagnose, stuck deals? How do we do a postmortem of the deal, of the launch? Got to slow that release train, give GTM teams the time it takes to be successful in the market. Reason number 8, maybe the metrics are not right. Typically, most launches will default to like a revenue metric, right? But there are different ways of looking at it, right? Because revenue metric, it's kind of unfair when your product hasn't gotten product market fit yet, right? Sometimes you might want to look at more leading indicators like, hey, how's your pipeline looking? How are the number of leads looking? How many case studies do you have, right? If you're, that can also be a bellwether for product market fit. How many analyst mentions are you getting if you're in the enterprise software market, right? So different metrics to kind of show a more well-rounded picture of how a launch really is going. Reason number 9, there is no clear launch owner. A launch, it's a lot of strategy, but strategy is no use if it doesn't get executed, right? People do have to do those webinars, do those blog posts, do those email nurtures, get that excitement going. So there's a lot of activities that happens across different teams, right? Customer support will have their training webinars. The customer marketing will be trying to get customer testimonials and reviews, what have you. So a lot of activities. There's a PR release that happens. So you need that one singular owner who will drive the activities of everyone, have those daily stand-ups, check in, hold people accountable, right? And just kind of unblock any obstacles they may face so that you actually drive a launch to execution. And I know we've, had 1 hour and 25 minutes of content right now. So I guess it'd be good to take a little break, take a walk around, grab a cup of water or coffee if it's not too late for you. And so right now it is 8:24. Shall we reconvene in like 2 minutes? That's 8:26. Yeah. everybody good with that? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, yeah. So 8:26, we reconvene. Thank you. All right, so is everybody back from the break? It's 8:26 and we are ready to start off. We have quite a bit of content to get through, so I'm going to get started. So another exercise, right? What's in your launch plan? Okay, so we talked a lot about how launches can go wrong, how you can tackle some of that. We talked about various aspects of targeting, about product market fit, different how marketing sometimes may not be aligned, a lack of budget, all of that. Now, I want you to put your thinking caps on, pretend to be a product marketer for a day, for this evening, really. And anyway, half of you are product marketers anyway. So tell me, what are the essential components in your launch plan? So the scenario is you are launching company X's prototyping tool. What are the essential components in your launch plan? You don't need to get into the details of it, Suresh. Just a high level idea of, okay, you've got a product to launch, right? You're planning out this launch. What are some of the essential pieces that you need to figure out before you actually start executing, right? Okay, Shyam, right on. ICP, buying persona, channels to market, love it. Content types, sales enablement, love it. Very cool. Nikit says data program. Okay, very nice, yeah. Rohit says pricing, absolutely right. You want to figure out pricing, absolutely. Anything else to add to that? Okay, so let's tracking response of marketing efforts, traffic, sign up, support model. Yes, absolutely. User segment, target audience. Absolutely. Guys got it all figured out. I don't need to be here. Just need to ask some questions and got all the answers. So I'm going to step right in and kind of tell you the essential ingredients of a launch plan, right? You want to start with your goal, right? What is your launch goal? That comes at the very top, right? And then what's your launch strategy to get to those goals? And then, of course, all the things that you just mentioned, right? Key buyer persona, what's your product positioning vis-a-vis the market and your competitors? What does your sales enablement plan look like? What does your marketing plan look like? And what are some of the metrics to measure, right? Mm. I'm going to jump right in and kind of walk you through how you go about a launch process, right? So you start with number one, get the launch goals from your XX. You could also come up with your launch goals, PM and PMM can put their heads together, come up with the launch goal and recommend that to your leadership. That's also a way to do it. Step two is really to dive into your customer research, right? And this feeds everything, right? From your target buyer persona to product positioning, your sales enablement plan, even your pricing, even your marketing plan, all of it, right? And now what I'm going to do is going to walk you through some samples of all of these and also give you some models of how you want to think about each of these, right? So what does your target buyer persona look like? And this is a fictitious one, target buyer persona for a sales forecasting tool, right? Your target buyer is your head of sales. So, you want to interview like half a dozen at least heads of sales and put it together of, what are the demographics, educational background, where do they live, what are the pain points that they are facing, right? So in this case, it's the inability to achieve predictable revenue, right? Only half of their sales reps are making quota. What is their career aspiration? This is really one nice one because at a leadership level, right? What is that software that is really going to move the needle, right? And make them look like a winner. And you want to be that enabler, right? Your product should enable the head of sales to become the CEO of a startup, right? Who are the segments you're going to go after? What are the verticals to go after? Now, in the market, you'll find various models of how to do a target buyer, but I like to kind of focus on these ones because these are really actionable ones, right? Like which segments to go after, what are the verticals you want to target, what are the characteristics of a good prospect, right? Something like, hey, if you're planning to go IPO in the next 12 to 24 months, you're a great prospect. So that way really helps that salesperson focus on who are the good prospects to go after, right? People, companies that are talking of their IPO, right? And has a sales force. This is completely fictitious, but we have maybe for this product, we have a great Salesforce integration. It sits within Salesforce. So anybody who has a Salesforce CRM can be a great fit for us, right? So some of the things you want to be thinking about as you're mapping this target buyer. A sample positioning. So for a sales forecasting tool, right? It can, and the positioning again ties back to what are the pain points, right? So the head of sales talked about unpredictable revenue. So here, this product will help you solve that because you have short forecasts that you and your leadership and your board can rely on, right? So we talk about positioning in terms of what are the pain points that we solve for the customer. I have two golden rules, if you will, right, for positioning. One is it has to be based in customer research, right? It has to be absolutely about understanding the customer and their pain point and wrapping your positioning around that. The second golden rule is be consistent, right? Whatever positioning you come up with, use it across everything from your website, to your email, to your pitch decks, to even employee speak, because only if you're consistent are you going to be memorable. With that, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about, putting together your sales enablement plan, right? First, you want to look at, hey, how's the existing sales capacity? How many people do we have selling products? How many of them can sell this product? Will this existing headcount work, or do we need to add more people, right? Are your salespeople familiar with this new product, this market, the buyer persona, the customer problems, the terminology, what have you, right? Suppose you are a sales forecasting tool and suddenly you want to become, I don't know, maybe a payments vendor, right? The terminology itself might be so different that you might want to actually hire a very specialized sales team to make your product much more successful in the marketplace. Here's a very high level sample sales enablement plan, very B2B focused, right? You want to start, you want to give them all the training and tools they require to be successful in the marketplace, right? Starting from just the education, helping them qualify their prospects, helping them the presentation phase with your, decks and brochures, what have you, to the evaluation and the close phase where they want, customer case studies and, ROI calculators, what have you. Any questions before I move into the marketing plan? Okay, I will take that as a no. Okay, so how do you come up with a marketing plan, right? So based on your, I've broken it down into 3 steps, right? Based on your launch target and given your conversion rate and conversion rate of, lead to close conversion rate, you want to calculate how many leads you need to generate, right? And you want to look at step 2, look at all the channels that have historically given you the most leads. Step 3, you can also look at how competitors are acquiring customers. Now we'll just take a really simplistic example. Say your target is 12 customers in 12 months and your lead to close conversion ratio, typically for B2B SaaS, is 10%. Number of leads needed, therefore 120, right? Fair enough. So now you need to look at your historical lead data, right? How have you been, what channels have you been using to generate leads? Say you look at past 12 months of data, right? You see that, hey, about 30% coming from SEO, another 30% from events, webinar, email, ads, those have also worked well and contributed, right? So you want to leverage those channels because those are already gotten traction with your audience, right? So a sample marketing plan, in this, no marketing plan is ever the same for another product, right? So it's going to be very specific to the product and the market that you're going after, but this is just a sample, just so that you can wrap your heads around it, right? So you want to look at ads, SEO, right? That's going to drive your qualification phase. You want to have a big launch event so that people, people get to touch and feel your product. The PR, that's going to, you want to do your press release and what have you, but you can't expect any leads from it. You can, of course, do email campaigns. That's a very cost-effective, very efficient channel, if that's working for you, to go ahead and leverage that. Webinars, and you want to also look at maybe sponsor some trade shows that are relevant to your space, right? Those are some of the different ways you can make some noise and create some momentum in the marketplace. I think somebody raised their hand. Was it Shyam? Pragya, do you want to take the person who raised his hand off mute so they can ask their question?
Shyam, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, sure. So most of this items in the marketing plan looks to be outbound. Would we plan for inbound marketings as well?
Yes, yes. So I would say all the SEO. So the first column, the first row that you're seeing, website, blog, guide, social, that is all inbound. That is all part of creating your pull in the market, creating awareness in the market so that people start recognizing you, right? Even webinars are inbound, right? Because you're putting out information so that people get attracted to you, start accepting you as a known name in that space, right? Yeah. So barring events and ads and PR, I would say everything else is inbound. So it's typically a mix. And keep in mind, all these channels are going to vary from company to company, right? I'm just giving you a sample so that you have a flavor of, hey, what are some of the typical things, the typical channels that you want to think about, right? Depending on the business, the market, your competition, all these channels are going to vary.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that part, SEO initially. That's why I asked that question. But at the same time, just one more question coming out of this.
Yeah.
Usually inbound might take little more time, right? For a new product coming on the market to build that audience over a period of time by providing a lot of relevant content, thought leadership, everything. Then because you are pulling the or potential customer to your place, whereas webinars are those things, at least you are trying to, you may go to a common platform where they already might be visiting potentially, right? So that the question is, you would be kind of planning this different marketing activities or a timeline. Like probably first I would do this marketing outbound first to build the top of the pipeline. Then you slowly have like the content marketing, which might probably at the year end or later might give me more leads, or those kind of prioritization will happen.
Absolutely, absolutely, Shyam. So typically you can, do a little bit of pre-marketing, right? But pre-marketing can be a bit dicey because sometimes your product may not deliver all the things that you promised to deliver, right? Because often there's a gap between what was on the roadmap and finally what comes to, when the rubber meets the road. So there is a little danger of pre-marketing. So you might do maybe a month or so, you might start doing maybe some social posts that are like teasers, some blog posts, maybe some kind of hype creating activity, but you don't want to do that way too early either. And I absolutely agree with you. Inbound takes time, but when it does reap benefits, it's it's very cost efficient channel, very cost efficient.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you for that question. So what does a successful launch look like, right? This is just based on my experience. Some of the things that I've seen, there are commonalities in launches that have done well, right? Customer sees a demo, wants to buy, which means immediately the customer can see the value in your product, right? In-person events for customer and prospect mingling. It's a very organic mingling that happens in in-person events, right? These can be small events, but you need to kind of foster that environment, right? So that customers can hear for themselves. Prospects can hear for themselves what customers are saying about your product. A dedicated launch budget. This, I would say, is absolutely important because oftentimes what happens is it's only the product team's problem to launch the product. Nobody else seems to care and nobody else is ready to give you the money to spend, right? And of course, all your different teams have to be aligned, which is why I think common goal for different, team level goals are really important to make everybody work in the same direction. I know that almost 50% of the audience has worked on product launches. So I'd love to hear from you what else you have seen as, characteristics, common characteristics of a successful product launch. Anybody would like to add? Would love to hear from you. Okay, I guess not. So I know you're tired. You've been through 55 slides, right? So you need a bonus. And there you go. That's your product launch checklist, right? All the things you want to tick off if you are running through a product launch cycle. This deck should be available with you through, I think we'll make sure that this checklist is in your hands, but this is some of the key things you want to keep in mind, get your launch goals in place, develop your strategy around that, interview as many customers as possible, tens of customers, right, to develop your product positioning and also understand your buyer and how they buy, because your sales and your marketing plan should revolve around that customer, right? Or what kind of events do they attend? How do they make a buying decision? Who do they trust? How do they, who are the influencers in their head? All those kind of things help you crystallize your marketing and your sales plan. Success metrics, of course, and build a launch dashboard that becomes a source of truth for all your different stakeholders, right? Because right from leadership to product teams are going to want to monitor this in this dashboard and make sure there's one source of truth where you can actually see what's actually happening, right? Whether it's your leads, your pipeline, your close, and really monitor and optimize your tactics, right? So maybe over time you notice that ads are really not working. So you might want to switch gears and focus on something else instead, right? So a product launch checklist that you can rely on, and key takeaways: build products that meet a customer need. So it's our summary slide. If you have zoned out by now, I'm totally okay with that, but please perk up and listen to this, because these are just 3 simple takeaways, right? I was reading this book by Robert Banfield on product leadership. He talks about build products that are valuable, usable, and feasible, right? You're delivering a value to the customer, it's easy for the customer to use, and it's feasible, means it's a sustainable business model for you, right? The customer is ready to pay for your product. Target the customers that need you the most, right? Particularly relevant for B2B. Who are the customers? Who are the segments of the audience that need you the most? Who are the people who are going to pay you the most? Those are the people you want to be going after. And a successful launch needs a dedicated budget, right? Otherwise, it's all this kicking and screaming and having no money to spend. And trust me, you need to spend money to create some excitement in the marketplace. All right, some of the resources I've used, just so that you're aware of that: a decade of experience, product marketing launch course, and some of the books that I have incorporated some ideas from. Now we have a post-session survey, right? Pragya, do you want to go ahead and do that? And then we can also, we'll still have
Yes.
another 12, 13 minutes for Q&A.
Audience, please take up the poll. It will be very beneficial, and we want to see that. How did you like the session? How was the session? We'll wait another 10 seconds for the poll. So we end the poll here. And here are the results.
Wonderful, wonderful. Nice to see that almost all of you, barring one person, got what they expected from the session. I would take that as a success. Well done. And I love the answers that you have for question number 3. Like 70% of you are talking about talk to customers, find a problem, then design a solution, right? That is exactly what I want you to take away from the session, right? Because so much of what we do today is taking to market just because we have a revenue goal to chase, right? I love that. So let's go ahead and what else do we have here? Yeah, I think any more questions we have, happy to take that. I see a note from Janani saying, I missed points 8 and 9, reasons for failure, product failure because of connectivity issues. Can anybody message the point? Can anybody remember reasons 8 and 9? That'll be fun if, if anybody wants to help Janani out with the section that she missed. Does anybody remember reasons 8 and 9? I think reason 8 was 9 was having no clear owner to drive the launch execution, and 8, I believe, was around wrong. Your metrics may be too narrow, because you might typically you default to a revenue metric, but you also want to think of other things like number of leads, pipeline, number of case studies you're able to get, press mentions, competitive win rate, that kind of thing, so that you have a larger picture of how the launch touched and how many people it was able to touch. Right? Vijay Lakshmi says, I missed the lead generation slide. Would appreciate if you go over the slide one more time. Let me see which slide you're talking about. Are you talking about this slide, Vijay Lakshmi? Yes, okay. Yeah, this is basically about like, hey, suppose this is completely fictitious example. You have, say, a target, and this is kept simple for simplicity's sake, right? You have a target, 12 customers, 12 months. Your typical lead to close conversion rate is 10%, which is typically what it is for B2B, SaaS business. Number of leads needed is 120, right? Because you're only going to close 10% of that. So this is, so then your marketing plan has to help you generate those 120 leads. Hope that helps. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? We have another 10 minutes before everybody gets to go and have dinner or read a book or watch Netflix, what have you. Come off mute, don't be shy now. Any questions? We'd love to hear. Any comments, thoughts? What I know one person said that they were not, they didn't get what they expected. Maybe can elaborate on that a little bit. Shyam Govindan has posted a question. What is the ideal duration for a product launch phase driven by GTM team and before it moves to full-time sales and marketing-led motions? It's a very good question, very controversial answer. Now, this duration from when the product is ready to when you take it to market, right? In today's SaaS world, you're talking about like daily release cycles, even hourly release cycles sometimes, right? So ideally, I would say at least a couple of months of planning, right? You can even have your planning go along with your product development, right? So that the planning is happening even when the product is in development. And then I would say at least 1 month of actual execution, right? Getting all the different constituents involved, getting in a room together, having a kickoff, making sure you're planning out a big launch event. Maybe it's a user conference, maybe it's some other topical event that you can host at your company, headquarters. At least a month to actually get everything executed and having sales, carry quota for it. Once we have an execute commit, we typically look at 2 months run up to launch date. Yeah, perfect. I would agree with Rohit Kumar on that. At least a couple of months absolutely makes sense. Any other questions? Come on, you all were such a participating audience. I loved how you all came up with answers. And you can go off, you can raise your hand. Pragya, I'll take you off mute. Any other areas that you wanted covered that perhaps I missed? Or anything else you want to add, any other questions you have, would love to hear from you.
Audience, this is a golden opportunity. Please ask your questions if you have any.
Ishan Pradhan has raised his hand. You can see. You're going to go ahead and unmute him. Okay. Ishan, you can go ahead and ask your question. I see another question from Shyam Govindan. Controversial question, should product marketing or GTM report to product management leadership? Okay. Yeah, I've seen both, right? I've seen companies wherein product marketing rolls up into the CMO's office. I've also seen the switch, product marketing rolling up into the CTO's office, right? I don't have any clear data points to tell you which one is better, but from a execution anecdotal experiences, I think, and companies do tend to switch it out a bit to kind of see whether it will change things. And I don't think there's, one formula that has worked better than the other. But I will say being close to marketing does help smoothen out a lot of the execution that needs to happen, right? Yeah, that's what I would say, because a lot of this is like product marketing is very similar to product management, wherein you have a lot of responsibility, but you have very little agency, right? So it helps to have those relationships in place. And if you're part of marketing, then, you can pull a lot of favors. So it does help to bring the marketing team feel like they're all one together, and it's makes things easier to work through the cycles. PMM to sales, that would only probably, I've never seen that arrangement, but probably it would be a very, very small company where it might be a revenue head, right, who has responsibility for sales and marketing. So that in that kind of company, perhaps Tanmay's third model might work. Can you provide some general SOP on how to relaunch the product after going through a bad user review? Ooh, followed by negative word of mouth. Yeah, relaunching a product, before you even run to relaunch, I would really go and try to do a postmortem of what the negative reviews and word of mouth was all about, right? Like, is it a product issue? From what you're saying, it looks like a user experience issue. So you want to definitely look at, what was going on there. Have we fixed that? And how bad did this negative word of mouth spread? So kind of deep dive into that a little bit before even suggesting a relaunch, right? So because whatever your problems were that happened with the first launch, you kind of want to fix that and then only move forward, right? So if it's a product issue, you want to fix that. If if the negative reviews are like really significant, you might have to do some major PR activity, right? So yeah, so it's very case specific, but you might want to look at a different market, maybe a different geo to kind of test drive your product. You might want to do a very limited beta program to see whether all those negative issues have been fixed before you actually go all out and relaunch, right? Changing the name, changing the market, changing the audience, all of that can help. Remember how Facebook just became Meta overnight and everybody stopped talking about how Instagram was leading to teenage, dysfunctional eating disorders among teenage girls, right? Everybody forgot about that, like just because Facebook became Meta. So yeah, I mean, those are some of the things you could do if you have like a big PR machinery to pull off that kind of, PR angle to it. Can you suggest ROI calculator tools? I would say you can, Excel, really, like, it might be a whole different session altogether, I think, to, build out an ROI calculator, but we can definitely, Pragya, I'm sure, is taking a note of, that's probably a good, activity oriented session that we could run on how to build an ROI calculator.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm off the top of my head, I cannot think of any ROI off the shelf tools that you can use. You might have to just build it. Really simple one, back of the envelope kind of calculation on Excel.
Okay, so in the view of time constraints, we have to end the Q&A here. And it was a pleasure having you today with us, Poornima. And thank you for delivering a brilliant session. And please accept the token of appreciation from the Institute. And thank you, audience, for joining in and being a very interactive audience. I know it has been a very busy day, and on a Thursday evening, you have joined for the masterclass. So thank you a lot, audience. And thank you so much, Poornima, for your time, for your energy, and for this amazing masterclass. It was a pleasure hosting you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate your time and your engagement, enthusiasm on a Thursday evening, right? Thank you so much, Pragya, for putting all of this together. Welcome and bye, and have a good night.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Have a great evening. See you next time.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Good night.